there. Thank you for making time for us on the Trading Bell. Now that you can see me, I'm Malika Kazia. Thank you for joining us. And today, as you can see, I'm at the airport, at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. This is where you'd regularly check in. You know, you line up, get your baggage through, come here to the counters. But as you can see, it's empty. There's nobody. There's no movement. There are no passengers going anywhere. Why? All due to the coronavirus. So what are we expecting to happen when coronavirus does eventually, of course, leave us? How are we going to bounce back? And not just the airline industry in Kenya, but of course, world over. What are some of the trends that we are seeing? Well, I'm here to talk to Abel Gogo. He is the airports manager for JKIA, and he's going to tell me more about what's happening right now, what he expects in the future, and of course, their plans as well. All that and more coming up, but first, do take a look at his profile.
Abel Gogo is a former Kenya Defence Forces pilot, Kenya Air Force, with extensive experience in security, military and civil aviation. He is the holder of a Bachelor of Military Science degree from Egerton University and a Master's of Business Administration in Aviation Management from Lynn University, Florida, USA. Gogo has additional professional training from the International Civil Aviation Organization and the Airport Council International in aviation safety, managing airport security, and aviation policy, among others.
Hi, Abel. Thank you so much for making time. No hands, so we're just going to do this. And maybe you can show me around and tell me exactly what's happening now.
You know, in the new normal, what we want to encourage is minimal human contact as much as possible. So we have introduced this new course kiosk for self-check-in.
Okay.
So we want, first of all, to engage with airlines to see that going into the future, we will try to make sure that you first of all print your boarding pass from home and you highlight the key details as advised by the airline. But for anybody who is not able to do that on arrival at the airport, we will minimize use of those counters and you just come and do your own check-in from here.
What about baggage?
Baggage also you'll be able to tag them from here. So we'll have a couple of counters on this side for baggage drop. Yeah. So the next thing will be immigration. We're also in touch with the Department of Immigration, especially the Director General. We want to introduce the immigration audits. So you can also do self-processing at immigration. This might take a couple of months, but that's where we're going in the new normal.
Wow.
So that we minimize this human contact.
So you'll be able to take your own photo and everything?
Yes, just the way you scan your passport and you take your own biometrics and photo.
And you move.
And then the gates open, you just proceed to boarding. Yeah.
So when we talk about, you know, the suspension of international flights from the government of Kenya, that directive was on the 25th of March. They extended it again on 6th of April. So what was it like, the scenario here in JKIA? What was happening when that announcement came? What was your first reaction?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Basically, a couple of days preceding to that announcement, this area was largely not very busy because people are slowing down on travel because of this corona crisis. But then when the announcement was made, we had multitudes of passengers now. Those who were trying to travel back home in various countries, Europe, the US, and Middle East, Asia. And also the same was happening also on the arrival because we had a lot of Kenyans and Kenyan residents who are coming back home so that they are in the comfort of their homes as they watch this pandemic unfold. So we had a busy session, and then after a couple of times, as I had been directed, the days that these people are allowed to travel, and we slowed down again, and we're only left with specifically cleared flights for evacuation of passengers to their respective countries of origin.
So I'm seeing a lot of you know, different things happening here at the immigration counters. So can you tell me a little bit more? What's going on here now?
Okay. What is happening is that initially, in the last era before Corona, we just had this stretch of our counters for processing of departing passengers by immigration. And what we're trying to do now is to increase the number of booths. So as you can see, we have 4 more booths. This will be able to seat 8 more immigration officers. Our intention is to increase the throughput so that we decongest this customer touchpoint. And going into the future, our plan is to introduce e-gates so that we minimize the human interaction.
So you would just scan your own passport and get your own photo?
Yes, you'll be able to scan your own passport, do your biometrics, take a photo, and the e-gates.
Then open?
They open and you're able to proceed to departure.
Wow, okay. Okay, so right now we're at the cargo center. So tell me a little bit about this place. What goes on here?
This is where we do processing of our outbound and inbound cargo, or the cargo that's shipped out of the country. Then we'll go through the cargo shed operators. These are certified by the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, and there's a cargo regime that regulates the operations. So basically, as an airport, we have separate terminals for cargo operations, and this we call this apron 2, where we handle cargo, and then we have the passenger terminals, apron 1. And on the other side, we have a shared facility with the military, apron 3. But for this specific area, basically, we do import and export of cargo.
Okay.
And it is the most active at the moment.
Well, now let's head over to Abel Gogo's office and chat more about what's going on and what are the plans post-corona for the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
Thank you so much, Abel, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, when we talk about international flights, they were suspended on the 25th of March by the government of Kenya. On April 6th, the flight ban was extended for another 30 days. You know, what were the operations at JKIA like when that hit, when things started slowing down? What was the process like? Just walk us through what happened then.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Basically, we also got to know from our government about the suspension of our international flights. And for us, basically, we are a facilitative organization as provided by the KIA Act. And we provide infrastructure and services on ground to facilitate ground operations and movement of flights. So during this period when we got the notice that our flights are going to be suspended, of course, there was a surge.
Yes.
Airlines are flying especially to get Kenyans back home because this is a global pandemic and it's affecting everybody across the world. So there are those Kenyans specifically who are a bit worried and they wanted to be home so that whatever unfolds, they get to find all this as within the comfort of their own homes. We also had a couple of foreign nationals who found it fit to leave the country at the time, also to go home just the same way Kenyans were coming back home. So we were quite busy at the time, and with time then the decline started coming in until a point when we had no other operations other than facilitating only a few evacuations as approved by the government of Kenya.
Okay. Now, when we talk about early April, of course, there was a cessation of movement by road, rail or air in and out of the Nairobi metropolitan area, counties of Kilifi, Kwale and Mombasa as well. So at that time, KAA also stopped all domestic flights that were operating in and out of JKIA, Wilson, Moi, Malindi and the Diani airports for 21 days. So, you know, we look at the smaller airlines. We're talking about Jumbo Jet, Fly 540 and the likes. You know, right now, of course, it's a very trying time for them, but this even more so now. So what do you think they should focus on when it comes to dealing with this sort of go slow?
The situation currently, looking at the Kenyan aviation model, we mainly operate on a spoke and a hub model. So basically the small airports do feed the main hub, like Jomo Kenyatta, to fly long-haul flights to different destinations, to Europe, the US, you know, Asia, South Africa, and many other destinations. These small airlines like Jumbo Jet normally feed into the wide bodies, the main airport, that is Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. But looking forward now, given the pandemic is locally in the country, the cessation is impacting everybody. And one of our key drivers of aviation is tourism.
Yes.
Having been affected, everybody flying back home, and we have no tourists coming into the country, then they're all impacted and they're grounded for now. But looking forward now, we are expecting a slow growth. And initially, we expect the domestic market to pick much faster than international market, because this is something that is within the control of our government, being an internal processes. Once the disease is controlled and the government is satisfied, then this will be the first one to kick in, and we hope to be a key player in getting them back on their feet, as we try to play our key role in rejuvenating this whole aviation sector and giving the necessary support as expected of us by the government of Kenya.
Okay, so of course passenger flights completely go slow, as we've seen. Now it's back to cargo, because a lot of that's what's moving. So even on the 17th of April, we had quite a few cabinet secretaries here when they were receiving that consignment of medical supplies. We've seen that KQ 2764 took off from Nairobi to Joburg sometime in April as well, packed with medical goods and essential items aboard one of their Dreamliners. And also we've seen horticulture pick up. So talk to me a little bit about the cargo situation right now and the progress on that particular plan.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. As you may notice, when all this cessation of our flights was effected, cargo was exempted. And Jomo Kenyatta International Airport being one of the main hubs of cargo in this region, then definitely this was one of the key distribution centers. We have been receiving a lot of cargo from different countries, and recently from China, mainly medical equipment and PPEs and all that. And locally, we have a couple of domestic cargo carriers. For example, Astral Aviation, which now they were breaking bulk and distributing within the African region. So we have been busy, and of course the demand initially it dipped for vegetables, fruits, and other horticultural products,
yes,
especially in the European market, among other destinations that we normally
flowers
fly to, and we supply. This has peaked with time, and the demand continues to increase. So we have seen even our passenger airlines now trying to convert their aircraft, wide bodies, to start engaging in the cargo business.
Yeah, that's actually where I was going with it, because we have seen even the likes of KQ, there's been a bit of a lack of investment in cargo freighters. So now that conversion, how long does that take and what does that entail?
How I see it, I'm looking at this as a new model of operations. We have had similar experiences a couple of years back in this industry. And what we're expecting going forward as we resume, basically aviation will not peak at an instant. We'll have to have it coming up progressively. And then my expectation is that we expect to have some combi operations. Basically, when we talk about combi operations, it will be the same flight split to carry both passengers and cargo.
This is KTN.